Let me show you how to use the pattern tool to make textures and repeating patterns that tell a story. Hi, my name is Tjokro, and today we're going to be using this method to add some subtle texture to this farmer rabbit illustration, and later telling his story through a spring-themed pattern. Let's take a look at the pattern tool. Navigate to Object, drop-down menu, Pattern, and select Make. I'll name this pattern swatch Blue Halftone Pattern. Next, select the tile type of the following from the drop-down menu. Note that the grid is the default option and has no brick offset. Brick by column or row has to be enabled in order to use this option. I'll leave this and come back to it later. Next, determine the size of the pattern. In this case, I only need a small square of 8 pixels by 8 pixels so that this halftone circle is evenly spaced as it repeats. Since there are no overlapping elements, I'll leave the selection as is. The last subsection of this menu is made to change the appearance of the pattern editor and has no effect on the pattern in use. Select Done above your workspace and your halftone pattern is finished. In case you want to make changes to this pattern, you can double-click the pattern swatch from your local swatch tiles to access the pattern editor. The changes you make here will apply across all shapes that use this pattern. You can also save a copy of your pattern so that you can make a variation based on these pre-existing settings. Since it's my tertiary color, I'm going to change this one to orange. Now let's apply this to our farmer rabbit illustration. In areas where I use shading or a darker shade of blue, I'll subtly implement this texture to give it the depth I want it to have. So I'll swap the medium blue in the ears, the shadow beneath the hat, and the overalls. In other areas where I want both the darker shade and the texture, like the paw print, I'll copy and direct paste above these shapes. I do this as opposed to adding another fill, because when I need to convert this illustration into outlines, by selecting Object and Expand, the pattern will be converted into a vector shape with the previous outline converted into a clipping mask. Outline mode will help me identify where these clipping masks are. And utilizing the merge function from the Pathfinder window, which you can find under Window in Pathfinder, I can flatten these into perfectly cut halftone dots. Converting my patterns to vector here is important because the pattern tool cannot contain existing patterns and does not retain Illustrator or Photoshop raster effects either. They will automatically expand or rasterize your selection. Expanding the appearance and using the Pathfinder tool myself ensures that the illustration is clean and retains only the vector information I need it to. Now that this illustration is production ready, we can assemble the rest from the set into a more complex pattern. To make this pattern, I have multiple icons, design elements, and additional pieces of character art to fill out this space. It's great to come into this pattern with an idea of what this design will look like and where the key elements need to be placed. Here, I know I want the character art to be repeated in this form, and I'll use my icons and assets to fill out the empty space, keeping in mind where the farmer bunny might be walking to and from the most. Let's enter pattern mode with the selection now. To hide some of these repeating icons, I have them in different colors and sizes. But to further sell this effect, under the Tile drop-down menu, select Hex by Column. Adjust the size of your tiles so that the repeats are evenly spaced from your design. To add a background color, I'll make a hexagon that matches the tile size and bring it all the way to the back of my layers. The overlap setting for this pattern will be left in front and bottom in front, so that the overlapping elements are not hidden beneath the ground color of our pattern. Hit Done and our springtime pattern featuring our farmer rabbit is complete. Once again, I am Tjokro, and thank you all for watching. If you learned anything new, be sure to leave this video a like and follow Adobe Live on all social platforms for more creative content. Up next is my last episode of this series, where we'll take all of what we learned in these last 8 episodes and be creating custom actions and graphic styles that you can use at any time.